Hey, right, we're now on my iPad, guys. Let's see if you can join. Thanks for staying with me. Here we go. Anna's back in the house. Let me try and move this so I can even see see your comments, guys, coming in. There we go. My iPad's kind of in the way. Fruity Tooty is here. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for staying with me. Fingers crossed this is going to be better. We'll be fast asleep soon, says Hannah. For those who are watching this on the replay, we just had a bit of an issue with my iPhone and Periscope. I don't know if it was Periscope, if it was my iPhone, I've not got a clue. But fingers crossed. Kaylee's back. See, Peter's here. Loads of people are now joining. We're going to give you 60 seconds to see if the connection holds, and then we're going to get into tonight's book club, guys. Okay, I'll give people the edited highlights of what I just said on the scope that we're not going to be able to put on the replay for those who are watching on the replay. Is this the Periscope that went out? Yes, it is. It is, Mary. This is it. So you're back. Okay, you're back in the room. What the heck's that has joined? So good evening. What the heck's that? So for those who are just joining, haven't got a clue what's just happened, right? Let's go twice a week. My name's Ross. I'm an actor from Manchester. In the UK. On a Wednesday night we do book club. This week we're looking at Gary Keller's The One Thing. It's all about basically focusing on the one thing in your life that is the most important thing to you. Not running around chasing your tail, chasing 15 things, getting nowhere on any of them. It's about basically focusing on the one thing that's the highest point of contribution to your life right now, going after it and thinking bigger than you currently do. We all just admitted before it kept cutting out that we probably all, we're not allowed to admit it, but we probably all think a little bit too small when it comes to our careers. And I was saying the thing that jolted me this week was working with an actress who had a audition for Star Wars, the brand new Star Wars film. The next episode is a lead role, a new lead female role. And I was saying a year ago, you know, when we would be chatting, I don't think really in our minds we'd have been thinking necessarily as big as that. She smashed the audition. You don't know. I mean, I've heard these audition processes are like 8 months long for Star Wars, but we will see, you know, what happens there. But that made me think, wow, okay, am I thinking big enough right now? Am I innovating enough? Am I challenging myself enough? So I want you to think about that tonight as we read Gary's book, The One Thing. We read chapter 1 and 2 last Monday. If you want to read, if you want to catch up on the scope and you want to read those yourself, well, get the book and go to actonthis.tv, look in the Periscope section, and you'll be able to watch the replay of that book club. This week we're looking at chapter 9. It's called Big is Bad, and it doesn't mean big is bad. It's saying that big is bad is a lie. And if you want to read the chapters in between chapter 2 and 9, go and buy the book. You keep cutting out. Don't say that, Fruity Tooty, because from where I'm standing, it's better now. I'm not seeing any cutouts. How is it for everybody else, or is it just Fruity Tooty and her internet connection? Or do we just need to find a different platform that isn't Periscope to do these? It's perfect, says Fanny. It's perfect, says Anna. Sharp as a razor, says Mary. Nina's giving a thumbs up. Girly Whirly's all good. Fruity Tooty, I'm afraid that's your internet connection there. I'm not taking responsibility for that. You need to get on to Virgin Media and say, what are you playing at? Right, let's begin. I'll start this book again. We started, for those who are watching on the replay, for your benefit, because I love you all. I'm going to read the quote again at the beginning. It says, we are kept from our goal, not by obstacles, but by a clear path to a lesser goal. So ultimately, you want to hit here, but you are kept from hitting here because you actually set your goal here. So you're not kept from here because of obstacles, but because you actually don't set your sights big enough, okay? Gary wrote the book, guys. I've mentioned that, haven't I? Gary Keller. It says, the big bad wolf, big bad John, from folk tales to folk songs, a suggestion that big and bad go together has been a common theme across history. So much so that many think they're synonymous. They're not. Big can be bad and bad can be big. But they're not one and the same. They aren't inherently related. A big opportunity, give me some hearts if you agree with this, is better than a small one. But a small problem is better than a big one. Sometimes you want the biggest present under the tree, and sometimes you want the smallest. Often a big laugh or a big cry is just what you need, and every so often a small chuckle and a few tears will do the trick too. Big and bad are no more tied together than small and good. How do I give heart, says Anna? You tap the screen, Anna. You tap it with one finger. If you don't want to show much love, you tap it with 2. If you want to show more, 3. And if you just want to go the whole hog, sometimes when I'm watching Periscope, it's on like this. 5 fingers all over the show. So thank you. You can see the hearts flying through. So big is bad is a lie. Okay, it's quite possibly the worst lie of all. For if you fear big success, you'll either avoid it or you'll sabotage your efforts to achieve it. Have you done that in the past? Have you kind of aimed safer to avoid disappointment or to avoid ridicule? Or you might think, oh, I can't say I'd want to go for that because people might think, you know, I'm an idiot, or what if I embarrass myself? Mary says, so true. It really is. So big is bad is a lie. Okay, so who's afraid of the big bad whatever? Place big and results in the same room and a lot of people balk or walk. Okay, so when people use the words big and results together, a lot of people tend to just walk. Okay, mention big with achievement and their first thoughts are hard. I've seen people saying fear of ridicule, absolutely. People think hard, complicated and time consuming. Difficult to get there and complex once you do pretty much sums up their views. Overwhelming and intimidating is what they feel. For some reason, there is the fear that big success brings crushing pressure and stress, that the pursuit of it robs them of not only time with their family and friends, but eventually their health. Maybe that's something you've gone, oh, well, I can't pursue that now because I'm, you know, maybe I'm a bit older and, you know, my health or you know, I don't know, you make excuses, don't you? We all do. We all make excuses to feel better about not pursuing things because we don't want to admit that ultimately we're just scared. So uncertain of the right to achieve big or fearful of what might happen if they try and fall short, their head spins just thinking about it and they immediately doubt they have a head for heights. All of this reinforces a disease with the very idea of big. To invent a word, Gary's invented this, he calls it megaphobia, the irrational fear of big. Well, hashtag that now on Twitter. Let me know whether you've got megaphobia or not, and we need to try and coach each other out of not having megaphobia. All right. When we connect big with bad, we trigger shrinking thinking. That's another good one, isn't it? He's following this guy. When we connect big with bad, we trigger shrinking thinking. Lowering our trajectory feels safe. Staying where we are feels prudent. But the opposite is true. When big is believed to be bad, small thinking rules the day, and big never sees the light of it. How many ships, this is interesting, how many ships didn't sail because of the belief that the earth was flat? Think about that, when man believed the earth was flat, how many ships never set sail? How much progress was impeded because man wasn't supposed to breathe underwater, fly through the air, or venture into outer space? Ask Tim Peake. You know, years ago when they didn't think they could get up there, he wouldn't be up there today, would he? Historically, we've done a remarkably poor job of estimating our limits. And of you up until now in your life, maybe you have done a remarkably poor job of estimating where your limits lie. Maybe you've never tested them. Maybe you've never took yourself to failure. And that doesn't mean in your career, it could be in the gym. Literally, I get stick off my workout partner so often. Not, I was going to say every day, but not every day, not today. Because sometimes when he goes, right, let's do 10 reps of this or whatever, and I'll do 10 and I could probably easily do 12. And I'll stop at 10 because I'll save myself for the next set. And I go, why are you stopping? It's so easy. Well, because you just said to do 10. You know, and I'm saving myself for the next set. And he's like, no. And I tell people this all the time, and I'm like a hypocrite because I'm not pushing myself in certain areas of my life where I know I should be. And I know all this stuff, so you've got to remind yourself of it. The growth isn't made on reps 1 to 10. The growth is made on rep 11, rep 12. You know, rep 12 and a half, where you can't push it any further, and you're done, and you've gone to failure. So maybe you've never pushed yourself to failure any time in your life. We've got to remind ourselves to do that. So Gary says, none of us knows our limits really. Borders and boundaries may be clear on a map, but when we apply them to our lives, the lines aren't so apparent, are they? I was once asked if I thought thinking big was realistic. I paused to reflect on this and then said, let me ask you a question first. Do you know what your limits are? No, was the reply. So I said that it seemed the question was irrelevant. No one knows their ultimate ceiling. Chris Stone Films in the house. We're going to be talking about Chris Stone Films' ultimate ceiling when I'm interviewing him tomorrow night. Check that out on actsonthis.tv quite soon. What if someone told you that you could never achieve above a certain level? Think of this, right? What if someone told you that you could never achieve above a certain level, that you were required to pick an upper limit which you could never exceed? What would you pick? If you were told that once you picked that, that's all you could pick, what would you pick? Chris, if you were told you could only pick a certain level of success, and once you picked it, that was it, that was your upper limit, what would you pick? It's a dead simple answer, isn't it? I know everyone's going to answer the same thing. The top, says Fanny. Obviously. Oscar for me, says Mary. Amazing. It is going to be up there. It's absolutely going to be up there, isn't it? Okay. He says a low one or a high one. I think we know the answer. Put it this way. In this situation, we would all do the same thing. We would go big. And why? Because you wouldn't want to limit yourself. When you allow yourself to accept that big is about who you can become, you look at it differently. Oscar, multi-million-dollar movie, says Chris. James Bond, mate. That's it, I knew he'd say it. Bond. James Bond, exactly. It's Chris's big thing. So in this context, big is a placeholder for what you might call a leap of possibility. It's the office intern visualizing the boardroom, or it's a penniless immigrant imagining a business revolution. It's about bold ideas that might threaten your comfort zones, but simultaneously reflect your greatness and your greatest opportunities. Believing in big frees you to ask different questions, follow different paths, try new things. This opens the doors to possibilities that until now only lived inside you. Sabir Bhatia, you won't know his name, I don't think, unless you're a tech geek, but remember it. Sabir Bhatia arrived in America with only $250 in his pocket, but he wasn't alone. Sabir came with big plans and the belief that he could grow a business faster than any business in history, and he did. He created Hotmail. Have you got a Hotmail account or an Outlook account? Give me some hearts if you've got it now, because if you have, it's thanks to Sabir, who came to America with $250. He created Hotmail. Microsoft witnessed Hotmail's meteoric rise and eventually bought it. Have a guess how much Hotmail was bought for. It was started for $250. How much do you reckon Sabir sold it for? I'll give a prize to, I don't know what it'll be, I'll give some kind of prize to the closest guesser. It was made for $250, well that's what he started off with in terms of seed capital. And guess what Microsoft bought it off him? 350 million, is that? Oh Mary, you're pretty close. 15 billion, not quite, Anna. I like you thinking though, that is thinking big. The same in a billion. It wasn't quite as much, it was 400 million. So it was nearly $500 million. And he started the company up for $250. Well, he didn't even start the company up for $250. He came to America with $250 in his pocket, that was it. According to his mentor, Farouk Arjani, Sabir's success was directly related to his ability to think big. Chris says $400,000, 400 million. 400,000? What do you say? Oh, it's 400 million anyway, Chris. I thought you just Googled it then. But yeah, 400 million. So yeah, his mentor said that his success was directly related to his ability to think big. Okay, what sets Sabir apart, this is a quote, from the hundreds of entrepreneurs I've met, is the gargantuan size of his dream. Even before he had a product, before he had any money behind him, he was completely convinced that he was going to build a major company that would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He had an unrelenting conviction that he was not just going to build a run-of-the-mill Silicon Valley company, but over time, he realized he was probably going to pull it off. As of 2011, Hotmail ranked as one of the most successful webmail service providers in the world, with more than 360 million active users. So, going big, guys. Alright, thinking big is essential to extraordinary results. Success requires action, and action requires thought. But here's the catch. The only actions that become springboards to succeeding big are those informed by thinking big to begin with. Make this connection, and the importance of how big you think begins to sink in. So I'll read that again in case it's not sunk in. The only actions that become springboards to succeeding big are those that are informed by thinking big to begin with. So effectively what it's saying Fanny says, oh, it's cutting out a bit. Hopefully I'm not cutting out too much. Mary, is it okay for you? She give me the thumbs up. Let me know if it is cutting out. I think we're doing quite well, considering it was cutting out a lot before. But yeah, so what it means effectively is in order for you to take massive action, and I coach people on massive action all the time, in order for you to take massive action, you've initially got to believe in your potential, and you've got to believe in massive potential in order to take massive action. So great results will never come out of small thoughts effectively. You've got to think big in order to achieve big. So, couple more pages. Everyone has the same amount of time, and hard work is simply hard work. As a result, what you do in the time you work determines what you achieve. And since what you do is determined by what you think, how big you think becomes the launching pad for how high you achieve. Chris says, I did a scheme called Aim High at high school and I never forgot it. Awesome. Aim high, aim big, aim massively high. 10x that aim high, Chris. Doing something one way, this is interesting. So he says the trouble is that the combination of what, how and who that gets you to one level of success won't naturally evolve to a better combination that leads to the next level of success. So what's got you to your success right now might not get you to the next level of success, all right? Doing something one way doesn't always lay the foundation for doing something better, nor does a relationship with one person automatically set the stage for a more successful relationship with another. It's unfortunate, but these things don't build on each other. If you learn to do something one way and with one set of relationships, that may work fine until you want to achieve more. It's then that you'll discover you've created an artificial ceiling of achievement for yourself that may be too hard to break through. In effect, you've boxed yourself in. So who's ever felt boxed in? I felt boxed in when I've been doing stuff and I've gone, oh, I kind of cut a few corners there to try and get to here, but really if I'd have done it properly in the first place, I could have got further. Maybe you'll relate to that. You might have boxed yourself in. So it says, think as big as you possibly can and base what you do, how you do it, and who you do it with on succeeding at that level. It just might take you more than your lifetime to run into the walls of a box that big. So if you create a box so big, it's unlikely you're going to be constrained by it. Okay, so there's merit to thinking massive from the off. Don't think small, like even right now, no matter where you are in your career. When people talk about reinventing their career or their business, small boxes are often the root cause of that. So they haven't thought as big in the first place. What you build today, this is interesting. I'd underline this if I had a pen. What you build today will either empower or restrict you tomorrow. So what you build today will either empower or restrict you tomorrow. So build something big enough today, okay? It's going to either serve as a platform for the next level of your success or a box trapping you where you are. So there's a bit more to this chapter, but I'm going to skip a few pages and I'm going to look at the section at the back that's called Big Ideas. And these are certain things that other people, these are kind of like bullet point little mini lessons that I want you to take away from this scope. Ultimately, the whole thing we've been talking about is about the need for you to stop thinking, and I can put in the title of the scope, so king small, about you, what you're capable of, the level you could work at. If you just want to work at a level in television, say you go, you know what, I'd be so happy to work in television soap, awesome career, you would have an awesome career. But if you set your sights higher than that to something bigger and go, actually, you know what, well, I want to work in the biggest budget TV dramas with the biggest names in the acting career, full stop, then you're aiming, you know, if you're aiming slightly bigger, then if you don't hit that, you might fall at what you initially wanted anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like aim for the moon, and if you don't make it, you'll at least be dancing with the stars, as they say. You know, so just think bigger. Don't limit yourself by the thing that you want being the biggest thing. Think bigger than that. Think what you want and then 10x it. So big ideas, here we go. It says think big. So avoid incremental thinking that simply asks, what do I do next? May says the connection's gone. Well, hopefully it's going to be back in a minute, May. Fingers crossed. And you can watch the replay. Hopefully on the replay it's going to be all right. It could just be other people's internet connections again though. So think big. Avoid incremental thinking that simply asks, what do I do next? This is at best the slow lane to success. At worst, the off-ramp. Ask bigger questions, right? A good rule of thumb is to double down everywhere in your life. If your goal is 10, ask the question, how can I reach 20? Set a goal so far above what you want that you'll be building a plan that's practically guaranteed to get you your original goal. That's what I was trying to articulate a minute ago. So you've got your original goal, think 10x that, and then you'll create a plan that's going to almost guarantee that you will hit what your original goal was. 2, don't order from the menu, Greg says. Gary says, not Greg. Thinking of Greg McKeown. He says, Apple celebrated 1997 their Think Different campaign. You might remember it. It featured icons like Muhammad Ali, Bob Dylan, Einstein, Hitchcock, Picasso, Gandhi, and others who saw things differently and who went on to transform the world that we know. The point was that they didn't choose from the available options. They imagined outcomes that no one else had. They ignored the menu and ordered their own creations. As the ad reminds us, people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the only ones who do. So people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the only ones that do. So that's second point. Third point, act bold. Big thoughts go nowhere without bold action. Once you've asked a big question, pause to imagine what life looks like with the answer. If you still can't imagine it, go study people who have already achieved it. So many hearts, says Mary. So yeah, if you still can't imagine it, go and study people who have already achieved it. What are the models, systems, habits and relationships of other people who have found the answer? As much as we'd like to believe we're all different, what consistently works for others will almost always work for you. And the last point, we say it all the time, cliched as it is, don't fear failure. It's as much a part of the journey to extraordinary results as success is. Adopt a growth mindset, and we talked about growth mindsets. If you want to learn about growth mindsets, get Carol Dweck's book, Mindsets, all about growth mindsets. It's a great book. If you've got a fixed mindset and you don't feel, you can think bigger than you currently do, read it. It will help you develop a growth mindset. And don't be afraid of where it can take you. Extraordinary results aren't built solely on extraordinary results. They're built on failure too. In fact, it would be accurate to say that we fail our way to success. I completely agree with that. Ask Chris Stone Films. We've tried to film his interview that I'm doing for Acts on This twice. Chris, if you're still on the scope, you will agree we have failed our way to success on that one. We had massive microphone issues last time. Time before that, we were just testing stuff out, but we've failed our way to success. Tomorrow night, I hope we'll go off without a glitch, but we have failed our way to success there. When we fail, we stop. Ask what we need to do to succeed. Now we know what we're doing, says Chris. Yeah, exactly. We're going to film it tomorrow night, Mary, so ask me on the next scope whether it went well or not. So when we fail, we stop and we need to ask ourselves what we need to do to succeed. Don't be afraid to fail. We learn from our mistakes and grow. See it as part of your learning process and keep striving for your true potential. Don't let small thinking, ultimately this is the last sentence I'm going to read from the book tonight. Don't let small thinking cut your life down to size. Think big, aim high, act bold, and see just how big you can blow up your life. Boom! The one thing, Gary Keller. The hearts are going mental. So that's it, guys. Ultimately, yeah, it just made me question this week, like I say, question myself, am I thinking big enough, both in business and in my acting career? For those who haven't heard my latest podcast, go to iTunes, search for Acts on This TV, and I released a podcast last Friday. I do every Friday. Please subscribe to it, leave a review, share it with your friends. It's called 5 to Thrive. It's like a mini Periscope episode. And I was talking about the effect that the one thing had on me. And I can say used to now because I no longer do. I feel liberating saying that. Used to run a voiceover training company that actually I loved running, was very successful, brought in a nice salary for me every year, alongside Acts on This and my acting career. But ultimately, it wasn't what I really wanted to do. It wasn't my one thing. I work in voiceover almost daily. I'm very grateful for that as a voiceover artist. But training other people, as much as I enjoyed it, very time consuming, and my passion lies in this, what we're doing here, Act on This, Bulletproof Actor, and my own acting career. VO Focus was taking my eye off the ball. I deliberated for like the last 6 months of whether I carry on that business. And I kept conning myself into, oh, well, just keep it going, just keep the website there, keep this there, keep that there, just in case. And I was like, no, because it's distracting me. It's taking my eye off what I really want to do. So I bit the bullet like last Thursday. Mary says, good for you for being true to yourself. Well, yeah, thanks. I had all kinds of trepidation about closing this business down, and I was in partnership with my voiceover agent, so I had that conversations to have as well. But we were both on the same page when it came to that, which was quite good, because we both had other commitments now. And I still was like, you need to back up the website. This is like 18 months of work and coding on the website. Back it up. And I was going. Part of me was like, no, because that's too easy. It means that any time I'm weak or I feel I might need a cash injection or whatever, I won't focus on what might be harder but will fulfill me more. I will just go, oh, I'll pull that out again and I can earn X amount from that. So I deleted it, and I saw the progress bar going across the screen, and it was going like 10% deleted, and I was thinking, oh my God, there's still the cancel button there, and I just let it go to 100%. And then I had to delete the Facebook group, the Twitter account for VO Focus, everything. There's no trace of it on the internet now, I don't think, bar a few articles I wrote on Act on This, which I've changed as well now. I cut all the links out to the website because obviously they don't work anymore. And Mary said, I bet you feel liberated. I did. I just felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I was like, oh, you know what? I get emails every week from people about voice reels. Fanny, I got your email about voice reels, by the way. What I would say about voice reels is a voiceover career is very different to an acting career. And voiceover, you said you wanted to do radio plays and radio drama. That isn't voiceover. That's acting. That wouldn't be made by a voiceover reel company. Voiceover is really commercials, corporate work, and documentary work. It's not acting or radio plays. That would be got by your acting agent. Your voiceover agent would get you the other stuff. It does include things like animation and computer games, though, although some acting agents kind of dabble in that. But voiceover primarily are 3 things. So your reel would consist of commercials, corporate work, which is like websites or instructional DVDs and that kind of stuff, and documentaries. But yeah, I've not looked at the voice reel company you sent me, but do shop around, particularly in London, because prices can vary wildly and so can results. I do know a guy called JP and then ORR is supposed to be very good in London for doing voice reels, so do check him out. And also see the guys Gravy for the Brain, Peter Dixon, who's Alexandra Buck. He runs something called Gravy for the Brain as well. So they do some great training. Anna's asking where to get training from. Gravy for the Brain do some really good training and online training as well, which is all interactive, which is very good. I would have took VO Focus down that road if I was going to carry it on, but I'm glad I can hand the baton over to those guys and let them run with it. So I got rid of that, and now I feel like brilliant. I can focus on my one thing. And now for me, particularly from what we looked at tonight, is thinking, am I thinking big enough for my one thing? My one thing really go hand in hand. It's 3 things that create one, effectively. My acting career, Act on This, and Bulletproof Actor. They're one and the same thing, really. Everything I'm doing in my acting career, I'm effectively just documenting and taking you guys along for the ride, and I'm coming with you on your ride as well. Ultimately that's what I'm doing. I'm not an acting coach. I'm just basically going, this is what I'm doing in my career, this is what's working for me, this is what isn't working for me. Here it is, see if it works for you. But yeah, ultimately they're the things that I want to focus on. So now it's just about thinking as big as possible. Can I think bigger? And I know I can, and I'm getting there step by step, but think about that for yourselves. Are you thinking big enough? Are you writing to people that are big enough? Does big scare you? Do you associate big with bad? Because we now know that that's bollocks. Excuse my French. So there we go, guys. That's book club for this week. We will be back next Wednesday to read another chapter. Don't know which one it'll be yet, because I've not finished reading the book. I'm only up to chapter 9. So far we've read chapters 1 and 2 and 9. If you want to read the 7 in between that, buy the book, £6 from Amazon. Tweet me if you do. Let me know, at Ross A. Grant. Let me know if you bought it. And if you're watching this on the replay, click the link below the video and you can go straight through to Amazon to buy it as well. So I think on the whole, Periscope's held up pretty well, considering it was disastrous on my phone. Maybe the phone app's different to the iPad app, but I'm not gonna use my phone next time. I think we should just use the iPad. What do you reckon? Is the picture better on iPad? Let me know if you think the picture's better, because the camera's probably better. What's your goal, Ross? Mary? Oof. Okay, there's a few goals. Okay, ultimately, my goal for Act on This is this. Nina says clearer, so it's hopefully the camera's better on my iPad then. Great. So my goal for Act on This is to create, basically, I want to create the biggest platform on the planet for actors, in order to ultimately kind of believe that they can take themselves, in their career all the way. But also, how I will do that, I want to bring together the greatest minds in the acting industry worldwide. The greatest people who are working in actually literally at the top of the tree, the Will Smiths of the industry, the Steven Spielbergs, the Chris Stones. Okay, that's my goal, is to bring the greatest minds. I want to be the curator of the greatest minds in the acting industry that currently are alive today, bring them together and unlock the secrets of their success so that we can reverse engineer it and have that success ourselves. Ultimately, that's what fascinates me and what drives me to do what I do. So that would be the goal for Acts on This. The goal for Bulletproof Actor, which is the coaching side of stuff and what I do on things like this, ultimately I think I've already achieved it. Because my only goal really was to fundamentally change the attitudes of actors out there. I'd seen for so long so many negative, whinging, whining bar stewards on Facebook, particularly on that acting group that I don't mention anymore, but you know the one I talk about. And I saw them ultimately sabotaging themselves and everyone else around them. And I was like, if I can just save one person from that, who actually straps their balls back on, gets some self-belief, goes out there and achieves what their potential. They achieve their potential. What they, even if they don't know their potential right now, they achieve what they think wasn't possible for them. Then I've won, and I've so grateful. I've had countless emails from people who have told me that I've effectively done that already. So you know what? I've kind of won on that score, and and I just kind of just give without, I don't want to sound like a saint, but just without expectation, and I just enjoy the gifts that brings, because it brings loads, and I don't have to ask for them. I enjoy this, and I get loads back from it. And then my own acting career, ultimately the goal would be to write and star in. I want to have one of the most celebrated comedies that's ever been created. To have something like the Porridge, or the Open All Hours, or The Office, or Phoenix Nights. I want a water cooler comedy where once it's been on the Tuesday night or whatever, in the offices all around the country and the world when it gets sold to America, when they're getting their water from the cooler, they're like, man, did you see such and such a thing last night? Like, oh my God, yeah, it was amazing. As I did when I used to go into work in game and I'd seen The Office and I'd seen Ricky Gervais, or I'd seen Peter Kay in Phoenix Nights or something like that, or Alan Partridge, Steve Coogan, one of my biggest comedy heroes. I would love to write, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't want to star in it, write and star in my own world-renowned comedy series. People like Victoria Wood are my heroes and stuff like that. I'm not too fussed about, the Bonds and the Star Wars. I'd love to, God, who wouldn't love to do that? But I'm more about creating something as opposed to playing someone else's character. I would love to create a comedy hero that people are like, God, that guy, like Alan Partridge. Chris, we need to get hold of Steve Coogan, and you can be Steve Coogan's cousin, because Chris does an awesome Alan Partridge impression. And I could be Fernando Partridge, basically Steve Coogan's son, or Alan Partridge's son, absolutely. Call it the water cooler, says Nina. Well, I wrote a sitcom based on my life in 10 years in that computer game shop. It's called Game Boy, and I think it's awesome. I'm just waiting till the moment is right to get some backing and make it. That could be the thing. Get writing it, Mary. I've written it. It's already written. Me and my brother spent 2 years writing it. Series 1, we've got 6 episodes. And yeah, that, ultimately that is the that's the big thing. Fingers crossed. Game Boy, Fanny says brilliant, but yeah, I don't know if Nintendo would let me use that because of their Nintendo Game Boy. Maybe it's copyrighted, but we shall see. But I've had a lot of help from people at Sky, and Boark was a company, the In-Betweeners. Went down to have a meeting with them about it. So yeah, believe me when I say I'm working on it. And if I get it made, guys, you can be in it. I promise you, in whatever form. I might not be able to give you one of the leads because only 6 characters in it, but I will give you something in it for sticking with me all this time. But yeah, that's the big dream. And then who knows, a movie after that, make it into a movie like they did with the In-Betweeners. Then I would be up for being in movies. I just love that. It'd be awesome. So yeah, lots of goals. I think you've got to have more than one, but just focus on one at a time. Ultimately, that's it. You know, just choose one, focus on that for now. But you've got to diversify. We said that on lots of scopes, otherwise you become dull. You become very, very dull. If all I did was focus on my acting career and I didn't have this, I didn't have the other stuff that I do, and you know, just my other interests, I wouldn't get any other life experience bar reading plays and auditioning, and I think I'd just end up becoming a robot that no one would find very interesting. So you've got to have other passions. It's so, so important. Awesome. Right, well, I will see you guys Monday. Thanks for sticking with me. 10 PM Monday night for the next Periscope, Motivation and Mind Hacks. Don't know what it's going to be on. It's going to be a little surprise. Chris Stone, I will see you. I'm going to ring you after this, actually. We'll sort out what time we're going to meet tomorrow. And everyone will be able to watch the interview. It's the first in a brand new series of super high quality video interviews that I'm doing from a top secret location in Media City, UK. 805 hearts, Mary, thank you. Thanks for the hearts. And Chris is the first guest because Chris is going to be my director for all future interviews. So I thought, who better to interview for interview number 1 than the director himself. So we're going to be talking about short films, the value of them to actors, how you can get into short film as an actor, how you can be useful on set once you've got the job, how you can get booked again by being a great person to have around when you're making a short film, because short films are made on a budget with a small crew. You don't sometimes, you know, just stand there as the actor, you've got to muck in. So we were talking about that. We were talking about Chris's history. We were talking about Chris dressing up as James Bond at 8 years old and shooting his own films when he was both behind and in front of the camera, running around his garden as Mission Impossible. We were talking about that. And basically just having a good laugh. That will be available on Act on This towards the end of this month. There's going to be a whole new series, which literally is the thing that I wanted to start. I wanted to, ultimately my goal for Act on This, when I first started out, was to create an online chat show. Always wanted my own chat show, like Jonathan Ross, but without Jonathan, just with Ross. And now, finally, this is what we can do. So Act on This TV is soon going to be here, which is what I've envisaged for the last 5 years. So it's great to have hit that goal, which is very, very good, and it's super high quality. If we get the sound right, Chris, we just had a dodgy connection on my wireless mic last time. It ruined the sound. We had a great interview, but we couldn't use it, so we've got to do it again. It means it's going to be even better though. So yeah, look forward to that. So thanks, I've rambled a lot. You've stayed with me, guys, till nearly 11 o'clock. Thank you so much. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties we had at the start, but I hope it's been worth it. Do tweet me at Ross A. Grant. Come and join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/ActOnThisTV. Become part of the most supportive community for actors out there, because it's super positive, it's inspiring. Anyone who talks bullshit or negativity gets kicked. So if you want to be inspired and be more productive and join a mastermind group that's going to help you get further faster, come and join. Thank you. I will catch you soon. Have an amazing week, and listen out for Manchester meetup. Mary says yes, soon. The 2nd of July in Manchester. We're doing. We're going to start regular meetups again. I used to do these the first Saturday of every month. We've got a new home for them at Home in Manchester, the Great Theatre Home in Manchester. For those who are in the south, London meetups will be coming next. They won't be every month unless an ambassador down south for Act on This would like to run a monthly meetup. I think there are a couple of people interested. Selena and Warren might be interested in the Facebook group for doing that. If not, I'll sort it out, but they'll probably be like every other month or something like that, or maybe one a quarter, because obviously I've got to travel. But it would be great to do that, so don't feel left out if you're in the south. That will happen soon, I promise you. But yeah, join the Manchester one if you're in the north, or you can get up north. 2nd of July, 11 AM till about 1 PM, so like 3 hours. No, 2 PM, about 3 hours, yeah. Home, Manchester. You can get the train to Deansgate, it's a 2-minute walk. And they do awesome coffee and cake, so be there. Right, See you in the smoke, Ross. I will come down to London, Nina, definitely. I've got to meet everyone because I feel like I know you all anyway, but I've not met everyone in person yet. So yeah, I definitely will do. Look forward to it. Well, enjoy the rest of the week. Get my podcast, search for Act on This TV on iTunes. Get it, a new episode on Friday. There's already about 11, 12 episodes available. We'll do a brand new one of the 5 to Thrive series available on Friday as well. Awesome, my iPad's kind of worked quite well, hasn't it? I'm happy with that. See if I can end the scope. Oh, I can even end the scope quite well as well. Cheers guys, thanks so much, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Bye for now.